Hey, Steve from Arctic Fox Studios here. So Expressive E sent me an Osmose, and I've been working on some videos over the last several months, but it's been a challenge because the Osmose is such a unique and different keyboard. It's not like anything else on the market. It's not your typical workstation with thousands of sounds and all kinds of capabilities. It's not a controller. It's not an analog synth with dozens and dozens of buttons. But that's what makes it special.
I've been looking for you, tramps.
The combination of the Haken audio interface and the Osmose hardware makes a pretty potent team, and really a unique combination. Physical modeling is pretty rare in hardware form, and even some of the bigger workstation synths only have specific types of physical model engines. For hardware that is solely dedicated to physical modeling, I could find only a few synths that stand out. The Osmose boasts quite a few different types of instruments that it can create, and it can do things like guitars and violins, to various hand drums, to very realistic sounding Eastern stringed instruments. At least I think that is an Eastern stringed instrument. A lot of videos focus on these sounds, but the Haken Audio DSP can do much more with its 5 oscillators, 5 filter types, 2 biquad filter banks, and a number of excellent sounding effects, including several very cool delay options.
Phenomenal cosmic powers!
The various digital analog sounds, however, are some of my favorite presets, and they are a lot of fun to play due to the various modes of expression.
There are a couple of things that I would say the Osmose really excels at. Cinematic and ambient music creation are probably both in the top 5. How good is the Osmose at cinematic music? Well, Hans Zimmer has one. And you know that Dune patch that everybody boasts about? Well, that's the real deal. It's not a recreation.
And the Oscar goes to Hans Zimmer, Dune.
So while the Osmose doesn't fit into any of the synth archetype categories like a workstation or a controller, it's kind of its own unique thing. The combination of the Haken Audio DSP and the great hardware from Expressive E make it special. It's got great analog sound, it's got physical modeling, the digital effects are excellent. It just all comes together, and it's Hans Zimmer approved. MPE instruments have been around for a number of years now, and the growth of the market has been slow, with a heavy emphasis on slow.
Oh, you're funny. You're a funny man.
But I think we're at the point where that's about to change. I think we're at the edge of something, and I'll get into that in a minute.
When the harpsichord was eclipsed by the invention of the piano in the early 1700s, it took around 50 to 75 years before what we now consider an essential instrument to become commonplace. This was partly due to both the size and the cost. The invention of the upright piano solved those issues and was a significant factor in its adoption. Over the next several centuries, the harpsichord slowly became an instrument of history, and today it's rarely seen or heard, except perhaps in a VST or a preset somewhere. The guitar had a somewhat similar revolution with the invention of the electromagnetic pickup in 1931. Electric guitar sales increased steadily from the 1930s through the 1980s, when the vast majority of all guitar-oriented rock and pop music used electric instead of acoustic instruments. Unlike the harpsichord, however, acoustic guitar sales are still pretty solid. This is likely due to the similarity of the instruments and that each has its use and tonality that fits different musical genres.
So today, the current revolution is between the piano and the digital piano, with real piano sales in serious decline. And that's because a digital piano can mimic the sound of a real piano so closely that there's almost no difference. Most people can't tell. And plus, if you have a real piano, you've got issues with temperature, humidity, it's not portable, and frankly, a synthesizer in a digital piano can play almost any instrument on the planet.
Except that they don't do this. Or this. MPE-capable instruments, however, can. Thus, I think that MPE is about to do to the digital piano what the piano did to the harpsichord. And younger musicians especially are going to want to learn, own, and use MPE-capable keyboards, because it will be like owning a piano in 1800 instead of a harpsichord. School music programs, by the way, should take note of this, especially because learning the piano with its intuitive layout is often the foundation used to move on to other instruments. I would bet in 10 to 20 years, you will see a lot more of these in schools, which is why it is one of the top 5 reasons to own an Osmose. I occasionally use the built-in arpeggiators that come with hardware synths, which means not that often. They're kind of fun, but usually they are somewhat limited, so I use them for 1 or 2 songs and then move on to something else. The arpeggiator on the Osmose, however, in my mind, is a key feature. That's because of a number of reasons. 1. It's easy to set up. There is a dedicated menu for just the arpeggiator and the press glide. And once you turn it on, you just scroll through the menu and it's really easy figuring out how it works. No trying to remember which menu does what or which button combo makes the thing turn on. Number 2, there are 11 presets to start with and you can save more. Just go to the last menu in the line, hit the duplicate, rename, and you've got a new preset that will come up. In fact, the number of options you can come up with is pretty incredible. Number 3, MPE makes it awesome, like really awesome. Inside the menu, you can assign 2 different parameters to 2 controls, including key press, aftertouch, different pedals and switches, and yes, even X-axis controls. There are a fair number of parameters to assign also, like gate, ratchet, swing, octave, attack, and release. The fact that each key can affect that specific note of the arpeggiator gives you a lot of control and the ability to come up with some pretty wild changes if you've got good finger control. Add to that the fact that your fingers aren't going to hit all the keys with the same pressure and velocity, and the arps just feel organic. It's really pretty cool. Here are a couple of examples of what you can do. Number 4, add in one of Hawken Audio's great delay effects, and you've got some enormous sound design potential. Number 5, finally, try bringing the sustain pedal in and then taking it away. This is a level of control I have not previously experienced with an ARP, and I find myself making a normal preset and then a special ARP preset. or maybe even 2, just because of the different effects you can get. Most people wouldn't buy a car because it's going to be something better 2 years from now. That's kind of ridiculous. But that rule doesn't really apply to synthesizers. Now, this isn't a rule across the board, as many products never get past firmware 1.0. A fair number, however, do, and a select few have improved to the point where comparing the OG and latest versions is like looking at the differences between a 1980 Ford F-150 and a Cybertruck. On the software side, Falcon is a fantastic example. The jump from version 2 to 3, $0 and a ton of new features, including new oscillators, effects, scripts, arpeggiators. The list is huge. On the hardware side, Yamaha just released version 2.0 of their firmware for the Montage. The original Polybrute is on version 3.0, and if you buy a Nord instrument, well, they just keep releasing new downloadable sounds that get better and better every year. Perhaps the greatest example of this is the Synthstrom Deluge. Now on version 4.14, this darling of the Groovebox community gets more features every year with both hardware and software improvements. This is one reason that it ranks among the most desired top-end Grooveboxes on the market. So will the Osmose follow the same path? Time will tell on how far down the rabbit hole Expressive E will go. But here's what I know, based on a little bit of insider information. First, the recent jump from version 1.0 to 2.0 was huge. Going from around 600 slots for preset to over 2,000 is massive. Being able to now use the glide and art modes to control other synths is massive. Being able to set up lists and favorites, massive. But this is just the start. The step forward is going to focus on the Haken audio interface, and the list of improvements that are being finalized right now will be pretty big.
This is an impossibility, yet somehow it seems completely inevitable.
This includes removing the limitation of only 6 parameters that you can change for each preset, better reverb algorithms, more filters, double the amount of formulas that you can use in the Egan matrix, and 14-bit versus 7-bit macros. In essence, this will not only improve the feature list, but it will open up the programming capabilities of the Osmose so that you won't need to go deep into Egan matrix programming territory to really change how your presets sound. I don't have an answer as to when these changes will be implemented, but the Egan Matrix programming channel has a number of videos on these upcoming features, and it was discussed at this year's ContinueCon conference. Finally, this hardware right here is just the first step in the Osmose arena. Expressive E tells me that they are working on a 25-key version. I don't know, but I also hope that they plan to release a 61-key version as well. Thus, I'm excited about the future of this instrument, and why I ranked this as the number 2 reason you might want to get one.
So the number 1 reason to get an Osmose is, of course, the MPE capabilities and expressivity. Now, there's probably about a dozen different controllers and keyboards on the market that have similar MPE capabilities. And I can't vouch for them, but I can vouch for the Osmose. And the Osmose is pretty awesome.
First, each patch is a new experience because of the way different Osmose features are implemented. But playing each one is also very intuitive, and most people are going to dive right into this synth with a very short learning curve. Second, the deep poly aftertouch is just a joy to play. I fully understand why Hans Zimmer has one of these. Being able to pull off multiple pitch bends on different keys and have the filter open up on the lowest bass note at the same time is just cool. It makes me feel like I need to have an agent who can pull some strings and call up a director so they can send me a movie to score. Fun? Yeah, it's fun. In fact, I have noticed lately that when I go back to playing the Nord or the Triton, I find myself trying unsuccessfully to use the features of the Osmose. It just feels so natural playing it.
So is this instrument worth owning? I would definitely say yes. It's got a lot of capabilities, and just the expressivity alone makes it a ton of fun to play, and it has taken over a slot of one of my other keyboards on my desk currently. I haven't been able to dive into the Egan Matrix too much lately, but I do plan to because I want to unlock the full potential of this keyboard. So maybe I'll do a preset pack.
That's it for today. If you've got an Osmose, let me know in the comments, just because it's great to meet other Osmose owners. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe. Keep making great music. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the other side of the mountain.
Thank you.
no, no.